everybody, and welcome to yet another Friday's tutorial where I'm going to draw Peggy's Cove in color this time. I've been here before with Peggy's Cove and I loved it so much. Plus I got a lot of people asking me to do this beautiful seascape again, but then with colors. So I've pulled out my pastel pencils and 3 colors of Panpastel. And I'm using a grey Canson pastel paper. Well, and a pastel knife, of course, and you can see the horizon, but I wanted to make this drawing a little bit bigger than my reference picture. And to set it up, I'm using a light grey pastel pencil. On my Patreon page, you can see the whole tutorial in real time where I draw and talk in the same time. And of course you can see the prints and all the tips, extras for you if you're interested. Now with that light grey pastel pencil, I first start searching for the shapes of the rocks that are here at the end of Peggy's Cove with the magnificent, beautifully well-shaped lighthouse. Now this is on the right side, the sea area, and you can easily see the horizon because that is the line between sea and sky. Now I love this composition very much because there's a huge rock in the front with a little petal in it, and in that petal you can see the reflection of that lighthouse. Now always take notice that the reflection has to be at a straight line, otherwise your drawing will look crooked. So please use simply a ruler for that, so you are sure that the 2 lighthouses are in alignment. Once you have everything there where you want it to be, you can start with your Panpastels. The smartest thing to do is to work from the back to the front. So what I do here first is I use my Panpastel knife and I've simply taken some bright blue, and the sky on top is always a little bit darker when it's a shiny day. It is darker than towards the horizon, because towards the horizon it is very far away, and then the sky gets lighter. You can see it here, and what you can also see is how beautifully the pigments of the pastels blend together. Also, I can easily put in those cloud lines if you want, and you can see a lot of perspection going on. If you want to highlight the clouds a little bit, you can shift to the Panpastel pencils. The pastel pencils. So that's very easily done, and they all blend together very well. Once you are happy with your sky, you simply take an eraser and take out the pigments of the Panpastel, and then you can place your lighthouse in front of the sky. So make sure that you first place in the whole of the sky, and then, only then, draw in the lighthouse itself. If you were to draw around the lighthouse, you will see that straight away, and that doesn't look very neat indeed. Now for the lighthouse, of course, I use a little bit of white and grey and red for the roof and the side of the lighthouse. And this is a very nice detail because that red part is the only red in the whole of the drawing. Now it's time for the rock formations, and for that I'm using the Panpastels again and the pastel pencils. A little bit of green can be seen in between the rocks. It's short grass and maybe a little bit of algae or something, but it is there. So I put some green pigments in there too, and a very light ochre for the rock formations themselves. I blend them together with the light gray. Now I do not draw in each and every boulder. I just want to get the feel of boulders going on. So I'm using a freehand, nothing fancy, and then I gradually go over to the somewhat darker shades, and you can see a line of darkness just between the rocks and the sea themselves. I think there's a tie going, and the edge between the sea and the rocks there the rocks are quite darker. So I simply put in a brown underlayer, and then I will go back in there with the dark gray. But I need that underlayer of brown. By putting in a few lines, you get a nice perspective, and you got that feel of boulders going on. On the right side now you can see that I've put in a lot of white for that wave that is banging against the rocks. And here I am at the mid area of those rocks. And when you take a close look at this composition, you can see that there is a rock formation. The first one with the lighthouse. Then you see a section that is in the mid area. And way up in front is that rock with the petal inside. And that's your third rock formation. Once you have your rock formations about as you want them, then you can easily take the Panpastels again to create the sea. Now the sea is quite a lot darker on the left side towards the rocks than it is on the right side, where it is all far away and going towards the horizon. You can see it here. There's a huge difference. This is the lighter area, and going towards the left, it is a lot more darker. This also creates a lot of perspective and depth perception. Now this is the dark gray I was telling you about. And I'm using that dark gray, which has a little bit of blue, that's the cool color, in it. And in that way I am tempering down the red and the brown color of the layer where it is darker. I also use it in the windows a little bit. And this is my pencil eraser again. And I've drawn out the pigments of the Panpastel, and then I can place the splashy water, the waves against the rocks again. And this is very easily done. Now if you were to draw in all the sky and all the sea with pure pastel pencils, that is a possibility, but it would take a lot more time. But the Panpastels are, of course, quick, but the pastel pencils are also very nice because with those you can put in a lot of detail again. And then I've arrived at the third part, and that's the rock here in front of you. That higher rock also has some lower rocks here by the seaside, and I love it, and that is why I've chosen this picture and why I love it so much. It's because of that little petal there. Up on that front rock, and in that in that petal, of course, there is the reflection of the lighthouse in a straight line. And when I was drawing this landscape with the charcoals and with all materials I've tried, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I was to draw this in color? And this is why, and you can see it now, I can now actually draw in that bright sky into that petal. And now, of course, the colors are the other way around. So down below, the sky is now darkest, and way up towards the reversed horizon, the sky is lighter. Now this brings a very, very convincing reflection. I draw in a little bit of shadow and the window, of course. And this is the sharp edge of that petal. A petal is something else. What I also do is I draw in some white stripes just underneath there, and this brings an extra feel of reflection. It's not in the reference picture, but I put it in there anyways. And to get rid of the structure of the paper, I simply use a soft brush to push in the pigments a little bit more, so that the first rock with the lighthouse on top is a little bit less structure drawn, but I will leave in those structures of the paper up on front because, well, I kind of like it. It doesn't bother me at all that I can see the structure of my paper through the pigments. But in the way far back, I ease them down, as you can see here. Now this is the white sky towards the horizon. So I put in an extra little bit of white here. And you can see how much depth that gives and how it works for your perspective. Then I simply draw in a little bit more detail into that lighthouse so that it really pops out there. Not too much, just a little bit to make it convincing, but still get that feel that it is far away. So I keep it as soft as possible. Well, and in the end you can put in all kinds of detail. Maybe you want to draw the people in there. I've chosen not to. I'm keeping this landscape very desolate, and I've drawn in a little bit of a vanilla sky there. It's not in the reference picture, but I've drawn it in anyways. A little bit of that soft pink, that vanilla effect. And that's the beauty of being an artist, and that is you can always put in something of your own. So, well, this is my drawing, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up, of course, and well, have fun with it. Thank you so much for watching, and And maybe you can see me, you could meet me on my Patreon page. But however and whatever you do, I hope to see you again, of course, next Friday.